you can explain what Satanism means or what it is.
Yeah. So modern Satanism is a non-theistic religion. We don't believe in a literal Satan, but we use the role and the metaphorical imagery of Satan, of the adversary, to guide our moral principles. Yeah.
And so what, do you guys have like 10 principles or any principles? Like, what are the principles?
Yeah, so we have the 7 tenets,
Okay.
similar to the Christian 10 Commandments. They center around bodily autonomy, the struggle for justice, compassion for all beings within reason. Our beliefs should conform to science, and we should never distort science to conform to our beliefs.
Okay, so how did you get interested? What led you to, Satanism?
So I grew up in the church.
Or really what, like Catholic, Protestant?
Non-denominational Protestant with a focus in Missionary Alliance.
Okay.
So both my parents are born-again Christians.
Oh, wow.
And so I grew up going to church. I was actually very, very involved with the church and did a bunch of mission trips throughout middle school. However, when I started exploring my queerness and sexuality, I was then rejected by the church. And I was not met with a, hey, we think this is wrong, let us show you love and guide you through it. It was an absolute rejection of the people that I had gotten so close with. And like my friends were all church friends. Like it was the biggest part of my life. So when I was rejected from the church, I went through this entire spiritual journey over the next 5 years until I was an adult, trying to figure out what God meant to me, what spirituality meant to me, etc. I explored a lot of Eastern religions and a bunch of different religions. And spiritually, I decided that I was an atheist. I decided that I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in Satan. I don't believe in any supernaturalism or superstition. However, I have always longed for that belonging in a religion. So going back to my church days, I think I was kind of always Team Satan and didn't really comprehend it at the time.
So what do you mean?
So I remember being a kid and asking my, learning the story of Genesis and asking my mom, like, why is this serpent character a bad guy? I was like, if I'm naked in the garden, I want to know I'm naked. Like, to me, he wasn't a deceiver or, creating this divide between God and people, but the challenger and the accuser saying, like, hey, think for yourself, the bringer of knowledge, the bringer of truth. So I was like, why is this a bad character? Like, that seems like the hero in my eyes. So I realized I've always identified with that adversary character, and I didn't really have the words to say that until I found Satanism as an adult.
So you saying around maybe 15 years old started your journey, because you said 5 years until you were so 18 as an adult, so maybe 13 years old. So that's when you started, that's when you came, quote unquote, came out at 13?
Yeah, and that's when I left the church.
Okay, 13. So were you born with that same sex attraction, or did something like, as you got older, you were started being attracted to the same sex? How'd that come about?
To me, I feel like I wasn't super interested in romance like before that or anything. But I've like all my childhood crushes were mostly like cartoon girls and all that. Yeah. Okay. So it's something that's always been natural for me. Like the first person I ever kissed was a girl and all of that. And I've explored like my queerness and been with many different kinds of people over my life. But it never felt like something that I had to learn or something that like came up because of trauma. It was a supernatural awakening and understanding of myself.
Okay, you said supernatural, so you believe in the supernatural.
Supernatural. Separate words, like extremely natural.
Oh, supernatural. Okay, I got you, thought you meant supernatural. Okay, so you said when you came out, you were rejected, like, not explain, I understand what rejection is, but how did it go about, like, did they say you can't come to church anymore, or how did your parents react? How did that whole situation play out?
Yeah, so originally it was the youth pastor. I was very involved with the youth ministry, going to Bible studies and youth group and all of that. I was originally rejected by the youth pastor, saying that I couldn't come to youth group anymore. I couldn't come to Bible study anymore because I was a bad influence and whatever it was. And, you know, my mom stood up for me and was like, and my mom's always been very, like, LGBT friendly. You know, they believe that gay people go to heaven. And she stood up for me in the church, and she actually got her role as a youth group leader revoked in retaliation.